The Janitor's Secret. The hallways of Westbridge Academy gleamed under the soft hum of fluorescent lights, the marble floors reflecting Henry Caldwell's silhouette as he pushed his mop in steady, practiced strokes. At 58, with graying hair tucked under a faded Red Sox cap, Henry was a fixture at the prestigious Boston private school. His navy jumpsuit, worn but clean, marked him as Henry the Janitor to students and faculty alike. He scrubbed coffee stains from the teacher's lounge, unclogged sinks, and fixed sticky locker doors, always with a quiet nod and a faint smile. To the world, he was invisible, a background character in the lives of the elite. And that was exactly how he wanted it. 15 years ago, Henry was someone else entirely. As the founder of SecureTech, a startup that revolutionized data encryption, he'd been a Silicon Valley star. At 40, he sold the company for $100 million, pocketing $60 million after taxes. Forbes called him a visionary, tech blogs hailed him as a genius. But wealth came at a cost. The pressure fractured his marriage, leaving him with sole custody of his 3-year-old daughter, Lily, after a bitter divorce. Burned out by betrayal in the shallow world of tech, Henry left California, moved to Boston, and took a janitor's job at Westbridge, where Lily now attended as a senior on a scholarship he secretly funded. He lived in a modest one-bedroom apartment in Dorchester, drove a beat-up 2005 Toyota Corolla, and kept his fortune hidden, even from Lily. To her, he was just Dad, reliable, slightly embarrassing, and perpetually broke. Tonight was the Westbridge Gala, an annual fundraiser where Boston's elite mingled, flaunted their wealth, and bid on extravagant auction items to support the school's endowment. Lily, now 18, had pleaded with Henry to attend. "It's a big deal, Dad," she had said, her brown eyes wide with urgency. "Everyone's parents will be there. I don't want to be the only one alone." Henry had hesitated. He avoided the school's high society events, preferring the anonymity of his mop and bucket. But Lily's scholarship status made her an outsider among her wealthy peers, and he saw the toll their judgment took in her quiet sighs and averted glances. "Okay, kiddo," he'd said finally. "I'll come, but I'm not dressing up." As he locked the janitor's closet after his shift, Henry caught his reflection in a hallway mirror. His jumpsuit was creased, his sneakers scuffed, his cap slightly askew. He decided to attend the gala as Henry the Janitor, not Henry the Millionaire. He wanted to test the character of Lily's classmates and their parents, especially the clique led by Preston Whitmore, a senior known for mocking Lily's thrift store clothes and poor dad. Henry's years in boardrooms had taught him that wealth often masked cruelty, and he'd overheard enough, parents dismissing scholarship students as charity cases, Preston's taunts about Lily's janitor dad, to suspect the gala would reveal their true colors. Tonight, he'd play the humble, unassuming worker, watching closely to see how they treated someone they deemed beneath them. The gala was held in Westbridge's grand atrium, a glass-domed space adorned with crystal chandeliers, white linen tables, and vases of imported orchids. Henry slipped in through a side entrance, the buzz of laughter and clinking glasses hitting him like a wave. Men in tailored tuxedos and women in glittering gowns floated through the room, their voices thick with self-importance. The air smelled of expensive perfume and aged whiskey. Lily stood near a table with her friend Mia, a fellow scholarship student with a quick wit and thick glasses. Lily's black dress, bought secondhand, was simple but elegant, her auburn hair pulled into a neat bun. She spotted Henry and waved, her face lighting up. "Dad, you made it!" she said, rushing over to hug him. Her smile faltered as she noticed his jumpsuit. "You didn't change?" "Nah," said Henry, winking. "This is me, kiddo. Gotta keep it real." He saw embarrassment flicker in her eyes, but she quickly masked it with a nod. She led him to a table where Mia sat, nervously adjusting her glasses. "Mr. Caldwell, you cleaned the chem lab, right? Thanks for fixing that sink last week. It was a disaster." "Anytime, Mia," Henry replied, settling into a chair. His eyes scanned the room, landing on Preston Whitmore, a tall blonde senior in a custom tux, holding court with his friends near Champagne Tower. Preston's father, Douglas Whitmore, a real estate tycoon, stood nearby, laughing with the headmaster, Dr. Ellison. Douglas was the Gala's biggest donor, known for his $500,000 pledges and his sway over the school board. His wife, Celeste, dripped in diamonds, her smile sharp and practiced. Henry had overheard them at last year's parent-teacher night, calling scholarship students as charity cases. Preston was such an ass. Students, leeches, who lowered the school's prestige. Tonight he'd see how they treated a janitor up close. Preston sauntered over to Lily's table, his entourage trailing like loyal dogs. "Lily, you actually showed up," he said, his tone dripping with mockery. His eyes flicked to Henry, lingering on the jumpsuit. "And you brought the help?" Lily's cheeks flushed. "This is my dad, Henry," she said, her voice steady but tight. "He works here." "Oh, right," Preston said, smirking. "The janitor. Gotta keep those toilets sparkling, huh, Henry?" His friend snickered, one mimicking a scrubbing motion. Henry smiled faintly, his eyes sharp. "Yep, someone's gotta clean up after you kids." Preston laughed, mistaking Henry's calm for weakness. "Well, enjoy the free food, man. Probably a step up from your usual." He turned to Lily. "If you need a ride home in something better than a janitor's truck, my driver's outside." He strutted off, his friends cackling. Lily's hands clenched under the table. "Ignore him, Dad," she whispered. "He's just a jerk." "I'm used to it," Henry said softly, but his mind was racing. Preston's arrogance was predictable, but he wanted to see how far it went. He noticed Douglas and Celeste approaching, their expressions a mix of curiosity and condescension. "Dylan, dear," Celeste said, her voice syrupy, "it's so lovely you could join us." Her eyes swept over Henry, pausing on his jumpsuit, her nose wrinkling slightly. "And you must be her father." "Henry Caldwell," he said, extending a hand. Celeste's handshake was limp, her fingers barely grazing his. Douglas didn't offer a hand, just a curt nod. "Douglas Whitmore. You work here, I presume?" "Yep," Henry said, leaning back. "Keep the place running. Floors, sinks, you name it." Celeste's smile tightened. "How dedicated. It must be exhausting, such manual labor at your age." "Pays the bills," Henry said, his tone neutral. "Lily's worth it." "Of course," Douglas said, his eyes cold. "Though scholarships help, don't they? A nice opportunity for certain students." The implication was clear. Lily didn't belong among their kind. Henry nodded, playing along. "Sure does. Grateful for it." Celeste tilted her head, her diamond earrings catching the light. "It must be hard, raising a child alone on a janitor's salary. Do you manage?" "Barely," Henry said, lowering his gaze as if embarrassed. "But we get by." Douglas cleared his throat. "Well, it's admirable. Not everyone can make do." He gestured vaguely, as if Henry's life was a quaint curiosity. They excused themselves, joining a group of equally polished parents, leaving a faint whiff of Chanel in their wake. Lily whispered, "They're always like that. So fake." "They're not the only ones," Henry said, his eyes on Preston, who was now regaling his friends with a story, gesturing wildly. Henry's gut told him the Whitmores and their ilk measured people by bank accounts, and tonight was proving it. The gala progressed with speeches from Dr. Ellison, praising the school's diverse community while pandering to the wealthy donors. Henry sipped water, observing the room. The auction began, with items like a week-long Caribbean yacht trip, $25,000, and a private dinner with the senator, $50,000, drawing gasps and applause. Douglas bid aggressively, raising his paddle with a smug grin, while Celeste clapped like it was a performance. Preston mimicked his father's bravado, whispering bids to his friends as if he controlled the room. Lily shrank in her seat, her discomfort palpable. Then came the crisis. Dr. Ellison returned to the stage, his face pale. "Ladies and gentlemen, I've received troubling news. Our largest donor, Mr. Douglas Whitmore, is under investigation for financial misconduct tied to his real estate dealings. The authorities have frozen his accounts, and this may impact his pledged $500,000 donation to the school." The room erupted in gasps and whispers. Douglas stood, red-faced. "This is absurd. A clerical error, nothing more." Celeste clutched his arm, her diamonds glinting under the chandeliers. Preston, at a nearby table, looked mortified, his confidence crumbling. Parents murmured, some edging away from the Whitmores as if their scandal was contagious. Henry leaned toward Lily. "Stay here," he whispered. He stood and approached Dr. Ellison, who was fielding panicked questions from parents. "Mind if I say something?" Henry asked. The headmaster, flustered, nodded. Sure, Henry, go ahead." Henry took the microphone, his jumpsuit stark against the glittering crowd. The room quieted, some smirking at the sight of the help on stage. Preston whispered something to his friends, laughing. Henry's voice was steady, calm, but carried a weight that silenced the snickers. "Folks, I'm Henry, the janitor here. I don't usually speak at these things, but I've got something to say." He paused, letting the tension build. "I've worked at Westbridge for 10 years. I clean the floors, fix the leaks, and watch your kids grow. I've seen how you treat people like me, people you think are beneath you. Tonight, I watched you judge my daughter, Lily, and others like her, because they don't have your money. You've made it clear they don't belong. But let me tell you something about money." He paused again, his gaze sweeping the room. 15 years ago, I founded a company called SecureTech. Maybe you've heard of it. It's the reason your bank apps are safe, your data is encrypted. I sold it for $100 million. After taxes, I've got more money than most of you combined. The room went silent. Lily's jaw dropped, her eyes wide with shock. Preston's smirk vanished. Douglas and Celeste stared, frozen, their faces a mix of disbelief and embarrassment. Whispers rippled through the crowd. "The janitor? A millionaire?" "I don't flaunt it," he continued. "I don't need to. I took this job to stay grounded, to raise my daughter right, to teach her that worth isn't measured in dollars. But tonight, I saw your true colors. You dismissed Lily, mocked her because of my jumpsuit, my job. And now, your school is in trouble because your big donor is in hot water. So here's my offer." He pulled a checkbook from his jumpsuit pocket, the kind you'd find at any drugstore. The crowd watched, transfixed as he wrote, "I'll cover Douglas's $500,000 pledge right now." He tore out the check and held it up. "But there's a condition. This school starts treating every student, rich or poor, the same. No more cliques running the show. No more looking down on scholarship kids. No more pretending money makes you better." Dr. Ellison took the check, his hands trembling. "Henry, I had no idea." "You didn't need to. But maybe now you'll think twice about who you're dismissing." He stepped off the stage, the room erupting in murmurs. Lily ran to him, tears streaming down her face. "Dad, why didn't you tell me?" "Didn't want you chasing money," Henry said, hugging her tightly. "I wanted you to chase what matters. Kindness, hard work, integrity." "Did I screw up?" She shook her head, sobbing. "No, I'm just shocked and proud." Douglas approached, his face a mix of shame and defiance. "This doesn't change anything, Caldwell. You tricked us, played us for fools." "No," Henry said calmly. "You did that yourselves. I just gave you the rope." Celeste tugged Douglas's arm. "Let's go. This is humiliating." They stormed out, Preston trailing, his head bowed. The other parents avoided Henry's gaze, some whispering apologies, others slipping away to avoid the awkwardness. As the gala wound down, Mia approached, her eyes wide. "Mr. Caldwell, that was epic! You're like a superhero." Henry chuckled. "Nah, Mia, just a dad trying to do right." Later, as Henry and Lily walked to his Toyota in the chilly Boston night, she took his hand. "I'm mad you hid this, Dad, but I get why. I thought we were struggling." "I know," Henry said.
I wanted you to fight for what you want, not rely on my bank account. Did it work? Yeah, it did. But no more secrets, okay? Deal, Henry said, squeezing her hand. They drove home, the Boston skyline fading behind them. Henry felt lighter, not because he'd revealed his wealth, but because he'd shown Lily and himself that truth and integrity were worth than any fortune. The gala would be the talk of Westbridge for years, but for Henry it was just another day of cleaning up messes. Only this time the mess was human, and the cleanup felt like freedom. The next morning, Henry woke early, as always. He made coffee in his small kitchen, the aroma filling the apartment. Lily was still asleep on the couch, having insisted on staying over to talk more. He sat by the window, watching the city stir, vendors setting up, joggers passing by. His phone buzzed with a text from Dr. Ellison. "Thank you, Henry. The board wants to meet to discuss your conditions. Can we talk today?" Henry replied, "Sure, but no special treatment. I'm still the janitor." He meant it. The money was a tool, not his identity. He'd keep mopping floors, fixing sinks, staying close to the ground. It was where he found peace. Lily emerged, rubbing her eyes. "Dad, you're up already?" "Old habits," he said, offering her a mug. "You okay?" She nodded, sitting beside him. "I keep replaying last night. It was like a movie. You were so calm, so powerful." Power's not about money. It's about knowing who you are and standing by it. "I want to be like that. I want to go to college, work hard, make my own way. Not because of your money, but because of what you taught me." Henry's throat tightened. "That's all I ever wanted, kiddo." They sipped their coffee in silence, the morning sun warming the room. Henry thought of the Whitmores, their pride shattered, their world shaken. He didn't feel victorious, just relieved. He'd exposed their shallowness, protected Lily, and set a new course for Westbridge. Most importantly, he'd shown his daughter that true wealth was in integrity, not bank accounts, and that was worth more than all the millions he'd ever earned. Did you like the story? And which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you like the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with love and respect.